the way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. No, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.
Passage of Assembly Bill 3121 is a historic achievement in the state of California, and it's an honor to have the city of Sacramento recognize and acknowledge the grassroots advocacy work of the American Redress Coalition of California, or ARCC Sacramento. Reparations has become a national conversation not only because of the historic atrocities that stem from slavery, but also due to inequitable disparities that are still disproportionately impacting Black Americans today. The inequities faced are numerous. Reparations is the only solution to close the racial wealth gap. The wealth gap will continue to widen if these blatant economic barriers remain in place.
Again, thank the council, thank the community, and thank everyone who was involved in working on that state bill. And it really is a testament to the kind of talent that the city of Sacramento produces.
Slavery, Jim Crow, and current policy and historical policy, the kind of harm that has inflicted on African American descendants of U.S. slavery. I think we all know that this country has a racist history, and there are generational trauma and effects on African American communities in this country and the city. I do know that the problems we're facing, it's deep and wide, and it's not going to be fixed overnight, but moving in this direction is absolutely the right step to really begin the paradigm shift in how we begin to remedy really a system that has harmed the Black community.
And I believe that when we pass this resolution, this is us committing to sticking with you through this process until we've done what we need to do. So
one power is to help decide the arc of the city by where and how we choose to invest public resources, taxpayer dollars in our city. And our obligation, it seems to me, among many others, is to ensure that we are continuing to invest in our neighborhoods and our disadvantaged communities, with a focus on all communities, but a special focus on our African American communities. On all communities, but special focus on our African American communities. On all communities, but.
All right. I'm gonna undo the slide here. What's up, family? What's up, family? Before we start, I just want to say happy birthday to Miss Kim on this side. Yes, this side. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Kim.
Thank you, everybody, and thanks for joining today. And why I'm here on my birthday doing this has become kind of a tradition. In 2020, I first started, well, it wasn't really a recap in 2020 because there wasn't really a lot in reparations going on. But I did have a little ceremony just to give rise to reparations and manifest reparations. That year was my 50th birthday, and it was on something that was called the Great Conjunction. I don't know if y'all remember back in 2020, December 21st, we were supposed to get Black people were supposed to get their superpowers, but it was a astronomical event where Jupiter and Saturn were the closest that they were going to be in our lifetime, and it was the perfect time to manifest all your dreams. So that's what I did in regard to reparations. So here we are again 2 years later, and we're going to look at all the reparations activity that is taking place since 2020. I hear you've got a lot going on, Sean, out there in DC. If you could share with us and let us know who you are.
Thank you very much. So I am Asan Powell, and I work with Capital Accountability Project. I am the co-founder and one of the co-founders and the president of Capital Accountability Project. Basically, Capital Accountability Project is a legislative watchdog group. We are a task force that monitors legislation throughout the DMV as it pertains to American freedmen. Our sole focus is on ensuring that we can level the playing ground politically here for freedmen. And so that means that we propose legislation, we write legislation, we oppose legislation that is not advantageous for freedmen. With that being said, we've been rather busy this year. Proud of the work that Capital Accountability has done. As far as reparations, to start off with, since that's one of our key focuses tonight, we have the Harriet Tubman Recovery Act that was introduced, if my memory stands correct, back in 2020. I attended the first introduction and the first meeting, met with Juanica Fisher, who is the delegate that was the author of the bill at that time, had an at-length conversation with her. She understood the importance at that time. There was a hashtag movement going on. And so she was familiar with the hashtag ADOS. From that, obviously, we have evolved and grown in our knowledge and understanding of the importance of moving away from trying to create the wheel and just refining what was already existing in previous legislation that dates all the way back to 1863. And so thanks to the brothers that be the power, they helped us to appreciate the importance of going back to the legislative, recognizing the identifier legislatively that who we were and who we currently are, which are American freedmen, or essentially freedmen. And so fortunately in that bill, it was very specific that it was for, at that time, the descendants of the formerly enslaved here in the United States. And Ms. Fisher recognized that although she is not a freedman, she is not a descendant as we are here, she recognized that it was important for her to become an ally for us. And that was valued. There was no pushback and opposition to that. Since that time, she has moved on and has run for another position here in the state for this past midterm. And so the bill has not been reintroduced. We are looking now to continue to do the work at the state level to help get that bill better refined,
and then reintroduced for the next General Assembly. The way that we have thought about and the way we are now advocating to push that forward is that we some other action in the DMV to try to establish our footing politically so that we have more doors open. So some of the things that CAP has done over the past year, we've established the petition for the Office of Freedom Affairs under the Gloria Dandridge bill that we wrote. We completely wrote it, introduced it to our legislators here, and we are still pursuing that. We've also created the Claude Anderson delineation bill that, again, we penned with our legislative writing committee, and then we introduced that to our elected officials as well, and we are still pursuing that. CAP, then we sat down and we established a manifesto to better explain to our members as well as to the public what our mission and our vision was. I had the honor and privilege on Juneteenth to go to Annapolis, which is the capital of the state of Maryland, and do a full presentation on the Office of Freedmen Affairs proposal. I was able to present directly to the comptroller and to 10 other elected officials, and to actually be able to put information in their hands. A pretty large audience of about 45 to 50 people were there. And it turned out to be rather positive for us. And so we're looking forward to, with the new change of hands of power here, we now have a Democratic Governor, Wes Moore, and so we now have to reestablish those lines, as well as we have been successful in reestablishing the communication with the newly elected comptroller of Maryland. And so we're looking forward to being able to get back into the work as the legislative, as the General Assembly reconvenes, to get that work started again. Some of the other things that we've done, we created a candidate boot camp, which has proven to be very successful for us. We were successful in this past midterm in supporting 4 candidates. 3 were here in the state of Maryland, 2 of which actually did get elected. And our 4th one was the first American Freedmen GOP candidate, female candidate for the mayoral seat of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Miss Stacia Hall was our biggest win, in our opinion, because, one, she was the first declared American freedman. She is the first GOP female candidate running on a GOP ticket, and she was our first Republican candidate that we've ever worked with. She has proven to be one of our best and greatest assets as it pertains to the American freedmen, not only in the DMV, but she's setting a high-level precedence for all of the candidates, as well as for others who are watching CAP, to really look across the lines when we're looking for support in advancing the interests of the freedmen, remembering that there is no party that we should have loyalty to. We should only have loyalty to policies over party. And Stacia has proven to be one of our greatest assets in helping us reach across the line. We are now meeting again with the chair of the DC GOP on January 11th, and because of her campaign and because of the agenda that we wrote targeting Ward 7 and 8, which is predominantly freedmen, Muriel Bowser, after she took her win for the first time, she has now announced a racial and equity commission that she's looking to establish to address some of the disparities we believe, based on the agenda that we challenged her with during the election. That election that we picked, that candidate that we picked up 3 weeks before the election, and in 3 weeks, her expected amount of votes was about
anywhere from 25 to 5,000. And we successfully, with boots on the ground work, retained 20,789 votes out of a historically Democratic space with only 29,000 registered Republicans. And the wards where we secured the votes were not heavily Republican, they were more Democratic wards. But because we went out, boots on the ground, we were successful in galvanizing our people to make them aware of what is now being offered. And it wasn't even a hard pitch to get them to understand the benefits of voting policy over party. And so that's one of the things that I believe is one of our greatest success was taking it to the streets and sending a resounding message and a sense of, I guess, uneasiness to the legislators, the DC City Council, that what you thought was not possible actually is possible. We were able to secure the votes that we did secure in 3 weeks, which is unprecedented. And because of that, there's been a lot of conversation and talks and people reaching out now to us to further now communicate with us about our agenda and moving forward. We are now writing the Community Reinvestment Act or plan for DC and the freedmen there. So that's another one of our triumphs that we're very, very proud of. We also, as with New York, I think most people know that New York was challenged with allowing illegal immigrants to vote. And then DC, the DC Council passed a bill where they attempted to do the same thing. Fortunately, because of the national contacts that we all share, we were able to contact the same attorneys through talking with Phyllis Coachman in New York. She connected us with the attorney that represented them. So I was able to coordinate with that attorney to begin the process of opposing the legalizing of the illegal immigrants to vote in DC. As it stands right now, we have addressed what we could address, and we are waiting to see the outcome, and then we will prepare for our next steps. In lieu of that, though, we also did research to realize that the state of Maryland has approximately 13 cities that do allow illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants to vote. We are now preparing to address those cities. And so, again, CAP is extremely busy in the work that we're currently involved in for 2022. We have quite a few missions. We submitted the proclamation request because here in the state of Maryland, we were a slave state and the slaves were emancipated November 1st. And so we've put in a proclamation this year that did not get granted, but of course that is not going to stop us from resubmitting it now. But we have put in a proclamation for November 1st to be declared American Freedmen Month. And if we don't get the month, then we are willing to agree to at least a week where we do a full week of activities that is built around the Reconstruction period that best tells our story and the true struggles of what we went through coming out of emancipation. Let's see.
And what month are you looking at to get proclaimed Freedmen Month?
Say that again for me. I didn't hear you.
What month are you looking at to get it?
November. The month is November for Maryland. That's when we were emancipated here, November 1st. So that's the month that we're looking to establish the proclamation. We've also been instrumental in participating in the OMB listening sessions to establish racial definition for American freedmen, as well as establishing our ethnic identifier as American freedmen. We've coordinated throughout the nation with other organizations, such like ETM, and we all know what we've been working on behind the scenes. And so we have been successful in coordinating almost 12 plus OMB sessions to make sure that the Biden administration, that the Office of Budget and Management, as well as their Chief Financial Office, understands the importance of delineating us from flat blackness. That is imperative in order for us to move forward and be really recognized for the true disparities or the true successes of this specific special lineage group. Delineation is necessary. And so we've been at the forefront of leading that as well, in addition to submitting testimony to the U.S. Census Bureau, to also help them to understand and add the additional categories that single us out based on our lineage, not just as a racial group. We all know that historically we have always been looked at as just a racial group. They've never assigned us a lineage. We understand why. And now we're saying that must come to an end. It is essential that we are recognized as a specific lineage group with a specific history and contribution to this country. And we know based on the Supreme Court that we cannot argue the injustices and seek out true reparative justice if we tie it to race. And that's been their game plan all along. But again, as we evolve in our understanding and our education, we're able to advocate stronger and better. And so, yeah, that's what CAP is doing. We have, there's just so many things that we've done over this year. I'm so proud of our team overall. They have
And
worked.
congratulations. It sounds like you guys are going to be extremely busy in 2023.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to do this, fam. We got to. That was fire. Thank you, son. We really appreciate you coming through, bringing the fire. And we're gonna actually transition to our brother Michael. Hassan did mention, immigrants, and we know down in Texas, with the border between the United States and Texas. After you give your introduction, man, can you kind of tell us what's happening down with illegal immigrant situation going down there, and then however you want to introduce yourself, brother, whatever you guys got going on, just let the family know.
Appreciate it, family. Good evening. I want to give a shout out again to Hassan and the Capital Accountability Project. You guys are really tearing it up. I think I'll be stealing one of your members, but
I heard.
help us down here. But yes, I'm Michael Brown. Organization I'm with is Texas Chattel Slavery Reparations Commission. We actually started work was about 2020, where we've rebranded, but we've been in this fight since April of 2019. Some of the things we've been working on is really similar to CAP in terms of pushing for first Office of Freedmen Affairs with my colleague Donald Smithers with the Cali House Project. Has really been instrumental in pushing for that. So we've been setting up meetings with our elected officials, both Democrat and Republican, because we all know that Texas is a red state. Any legislation is going to have Republican support, and believe it or not, we seem to be finding just more attention getting from the Republicans than from the Democrats. It seems to be more of a, it's not going to pass because those Republicans over there, and so we've been engaging both parties in the need for Office of Freedmen Affairs, both locally and statewide. Delineation bill, we have been engaging again both parties in the quest for having our own delineation bill. We have it written up. We don't have We don't have a name for it now, but I'm thinking similar to CAP. I'm thinking maybe a name or catch their attention. I do have some names in mind. In regards to other activities, recently members from Dallas, Houston, and Austin, which are for lack of a better word, large Black populations in Texas, have gotten together and formed a volunteer council and a super PAC. And we recently had our first meeting back in, what was that? I want to say in October. We've had subsequent meetings. We know that the type of candidates that we need to push reparations are not going to come from your standard rank and file Democrat or Republican. And so we need to start running our own candidates or putting support behind candidates that understand our message. And so we formed a volunteer council and a super PAC so we can start funding some of these initiatives that we're doing and really get the word out on what we're trying to do here in Texas. And again, also through the efforts of my colleagues, we were able to actually get a candidate that ran against Sheila Jackson Lee to put on their campaign website that they would support the Office of Freedmen Affairs here in the state and on a federal level. And that was actually Sheila Jackson Lee's opponent on the Republican side, Carmen Montiel. So as you all know, Sheila Jackson Lee was voted in for another 2 years. I believe she got just about 110,000 votes. Carmen got about 40,000. So, I think collectively we look at that as a win, that we were able to get a candidate to have those two items on their campaign website. And so we're going to continue to take that approach. We're looking at city council seats coming up. The mayor's campaign here in Houston is coming up. And so we're looking at doing the same thing, talking to candidates on both sides of the aisle, and even, Green Party, independent. We don't care at this point. What we want is our legislation. And so, to that end, I want to, give a shout out to the Houston team, the Texas team that's putting the muscle behind this. This is not something that one person can do, obviously, and the fact that we have representation in all three major cities here in Texas. I think we're making great progress. Still got a lot of work to do, but we're making great progress, and I'm excited for 2023. In regards to immigration, so what's happening now is, it's kind of like, look at it as we're being overrun. And I think some of our National Guard and Border Patrol obviously have been kind of saying the same thing. And what's interesting about it, I don't think it gets talked up enough, especially on certain media sites that lean to the corporate left, is the fact that the border towns, they don't want an influx of people coming across the border. They would prefer that it doesn't happen. We've got border towns there where they have started voting Republican, for that reason. And so it's clear that there's an agenda to kind of just turn the other cheek and let these folks in. And, my concern is like everybody else, is a strain on resources. They're getting benefits that freedmen citizens are not even getting, specifically. let alone American citizens. But my concern is the freedmen citizens that are here in Texas. They're getting the migrants, as they like to be called, are getting benefits that our citizens are not getting, and so I guess that's another reason why we're kind of looking at both parties as well, because I mean, eventually we'll have to address this issue of how do you make whole a group that's been close to 500 years been oppressed, while simultaneously bringing in new groups to replace us, right? And so that is definitely an issue that is front of mind here in Texas. I mean, we see it every day. And the interesting thing is that, especially here in Houston, it's not the illegal immigrants that are on the streets. It's the freedmen people that are on the streets. And so something's wrong with that. If people that have been here for 400 years cannot find stable housing, cannot get their needs met, but immigrants that just crossed the border yesterday immediately are taken care of. So.
Can I add to what Michael was saying? So Michael is absolutely right in saying that we need to really examine or not examine, because those of us who are informed, we understand the importance of not being married to a one party, right? We need to get back out in the grassroots. We need to get back out on the streets and educate our group, our lineage group, on why it is essential for us to divorce ourselves from any party, libertarian, socialist, Dems, or Republicans, and marry ourselves to policies only, identifying what our biggest and intimate threat is. Today, it may be legal and illegal immigration. Tomorrow, it will be something else, and we have to stay cognizant of that. Now, one of the things I found that was very important and very insightful for us to pay attention to was, even today, as we know, Biden's administration has requested for Title 42 to be extended for an additional week because it was supposed to expire today. Well, now mainstream media, because of the impact of illegal immigration, and I could be incorrect in these numbers, but I believe today for the press conference that they held, they informed United States citizens that I think we're allowing like 55 million in on a weekly basis at this point. Now, the Republicans had a press conference today where they put together a 5-point strategy, recognizing that Title 42 will expire, anticipated in another week. They have put together immediate recommendations for Biden's administration to consider that will circumvent Title 42, because that was originally instituted as a temporary measure as a result of COVID. One of the things that they said in their proposal to me that was very important was that our immigration policy has always been, if you are an asylum seeker and you cross other countries and you fail to request asylum there, you cannot request asylum here in the United States, because you fail to seek out asylum, asylum claim through the other countries that you pass through. So your intent was to come here. And so your asylum claim is automatically invalidated. That is a part of our current immigration law. Therefore, if we, as the Republicans, and I, again, please let me state, I am not a Republican or any party. I am an independent. I am a freedman first, citizen first person, right? If I am not going to be able to get specific things for freedmen, I'm going to start looking for my citizenship protections, because that is also being eroded. So when in saying that, what I'm saying is that the Republicans have proposed 5 key aspects. And I hope that I can, before this stream is over, that I can get that link. I would like to drop the link in here from their press conference so that we can view it. These numbers are mind-boggling, that we are, how many numbers we are allowing for illegals to come in here. We are embracing American citizens, well, freedmen citizens, we are considered to be, based on the census, about 14% of this population, which of course we know is not an accurate number. We're more at 60 million, but for the purpose of this conversation, we are considered to be 14%. And yet we are easily, in every city that we occupy, we are the larger of all of the homeless. We are the largest of the underemployed and unemployed. These are direct impacts based on the immigration situation, legal and or illegal. In order for us to deal with this matter, we have to recognize that we have to start talking to the GOP side. Because on that side, what I am finding is that they are more receptive, as Michael said, than the Democrats are. And so when we're trying to achieve a goal of reparations, it may not, first of all, it will not be called reparations if it comes through certain parties. For the most part, most of the reparations that we refer to as reparations, they are not titled that in their bills. We have to understand those things. My point is to this is that there are other ways of us curbing this legal and illegal immigration. It is a way, there's another way of us being able to employ the deportation of illegal immigrants. And we can use our existing laws on the books that all of these people who are coming through these caravans, who have passed over numerous other countries and never requested to be considered as an asylum seeker, cannot land here and then now claim asylum seeking. It automatically invalidates them. So it is up to now us as the advocates, as freedmen, to now push our government to enforce the policies already on the books for the protection of not just the freedmen. Of course, we are the largest impacted by this negatively, but not just us, but for overall citizens. That is where we will find our allyship with other citizens that are also being impacted with this legal and illegal immigration.
All right, wonderful. If you guys, Michael or Son, I don't know if one of you two can answer this, but can you give us a scenario or explain to us what actually happened with the governor of Texas shipping those undocumented immigrants over to, was it New York or was it DC? I can't remember. Can you give us some context to that?
So I know that, of course, Governor Abbott and DeSantis, I believe they both shipped immigrants, illegal immigrants, here to the nation's capital. As far as I am aware, there was no legal implications to them doing that. The impact was here on the citizens here, and again, predominantly the freedmen. Why is it always the freedmen? Because the resources that would typically or hopefully come to our communities are immediately diverted and given to law-breaking people, as though they have the right to break the law and then be accommodated. And then the law-abiding citizen does not have the right of what citizenship means in this country. We're the ones that have fought in every war. We are the ones, because of us, we are the ones who established the United States. We are the ones who grew its economy. We are their economy. And yet we are the homeless and the ones that are displaced. So when they sent these illegal law-breaking people to our nation's capital where I reside, what did they do? They immediately, for DC, they established the Office of Immigrant Affairs. They redirected monies, funding that should have gone to the homeless population in wards 7 and 8 that have historically been starved out of all resources, and they directed it to accommodate lawbreakers. Now, had that been us breaking the law, our accommodations would have been incarceration into their penal system. We would not have been rewarded with pushing citizens out of homeless shelters and us taking them over, and then us being given 4- and 5-star hotels to live in. These things must be challenged. These things must be challenged coming from our community. We have to be more vocal. There was no legal implication behind those governors' actions in doing it. The implication was a moral implication on the people who have historically been denied the right of full citizenship and the protections under the Constitution that we fought for, the Constitution, the 13th and 14th Amendment that made us citizens, that we have never received full citizenship powers. And yet these people can break our laws, come in here, and they receive treatment as though they have contribute to our economy, that they fought in all the wars, that they built this country off of free labor, right? That they have paid into our system their taxes, and so they're able to access the resource. They are not the citizen. We are. And we have to value the fact that we have citizenship, and it is our duty to now enforce immigration policy of protection for our community. So to answer your question, that was the only implication. It did nothing but drive us down further when it comes to the disparities we were already faced with and dealing with in our communities even harder. These people are redlined into our communities. Our stores that used to be in English are now changed to some other language. We don't recognize where we are. We cannot even communicate effectively to our civil servants because now they sit across the desk in a position of civil service and they're not even legal. And until the freedmen galvanize the grassroots who are living and experiencing this in real time, no change will come if we continue to wait on someone else to advocate in our behalf. We have to get a legal position. We have to enforce legal implications behind the United States and the nation's capital, as well as any other states that are failing to honor the constitutional protections that were bestowed upon us when we became citizens. We have to point out how law-breaking people who have skipped multiple countries and never suck out asylum claims get here and then say, oh, I'm an asylum seeker. Then go back to the other 7 countries you skipped through before getting here. If you are in such a dire strait situation, then you should have applied for asylum in those countries first. That's what our immigration law says here. And that's what we need to now enforce.
Acts. And let's not forget about what those AB1 visas as well, or the B1 visas. Just being distributed all across the world. And we got freedmen right here that are fully capable of working in many industries that we built in the United States from the blood and the back of our ancestors. But Michael, did you want to elaborate on what Hassan said?
No, I think she spoke eloquently and spoke the facts. I will say 2 things. I'm no fan of Greg Abbott. I'm similar to Hassan at this point. I'm an independent. I'm not a fan of either party because the truth of the matter is, it's a lot of lip service on the Republican side as well. I don't see them going after these corporations that's hiring these, the illegal immigrants and cracking down on the HB1 visa requests. I believe they were trying to increase the number. And I think Kamala Harris was kind of part of a team that were trying to increase that number of HB1 visas. So, it's a lot of lip service on both sides. They secretly don't have an issue to me on immigration. They take each side of the corner, but ultimately we have laws on the books that would say, hey, We can go after this company for hiring these folks. We've seen it in Mississippi with the chicken factory as an example. We can go after these folks that are hiring these illegal immigrants and crack down on that black industry where they're taking stolen social security numbers and profiles and things of that nature to help these people get jobs. You can actually enforce the laws on the books already and say, hey, we're not going to allow this. But we've got to have people that are going to speak to that, right? And then the second thing, I saw the comment from Strong Flower One about, and I hate to pivot, but the anti-war. I was at my mom's house earlier, and she's watching the news. We've got the Arctic front coming, so we're not used to that weather down here in Texas, so we're glued to the TV to try to figure out what we're gonna do. But it got interrupted for CBS News, and they're doing, Ukraine president is snuck over here, and he's doing a message to Congress about more funding. Yeah, we're winning the war, and we need more funding. The U.S. is giving us the most money, but we need more. Because we got to continue this fight through the winter. And I'm just it's just sickening. I'm just rolling my eyes, and my mom and my sister, they're eating it up, and I'm like, what's going on here? Why are we cheering for this? Like, this is money that's supposed to be given to us. This is the money that they say they don't have to pay reparations, and yet we're sitting up here being okay with this president from this country that's at war, but he's got time to get on a private U.S. plane to come over here to ask for more money. Like, no, I'm not okay with any of this. I'm not okay with any of this. And we have Republicans and Democrats, cheering loudly for him. And so we've got an issue with both sides. Like, we've got to apply pressure on both sides, in my opinion. Like, this is not okay. This is not okay at all. And so the more people that we can rally to this cause, it seems like it's not related to reparations, but it really is, because when you tie this all in, it's like you're gonna hear the same old, oh, look at the debt, look how much debt we in already. And I was like, look, we've had COVID and Ukraine. That just you distributed billions upon billions of dollars. So no, we're not talking about debt. We're talking about the debt that's owed to the freedmen at this point. No, all those excuses out the door. We need to be steadfast on all of these issues because they're all interrelated.
Facts. Well, once again, I know you two are ahead of us. We're on the West Coast, so I know your time is probably a little bit more limited. But I did, before you two go, I actually wanted to ask you, son, kind of what's going out there in terms of like reparations. Is there any? We're probably going to go through. We did have some slides for like what's going on, in the DMV area. But are there anything going on in DC, Maryland, or Virginia in terms of like reparations movement? Any committees, any legislation, anything going on that families should be aware of?
So yes, it is. Let me just piggyback though on something first that Michael said, and it goes back to the reinvestment of the citizens here, especially the freedmen. America's putting out money everywhere, all over the world, and they're putting out money right here in the United States for these illegal immigrants and legal immigrants to be educated, and we're recruiting them from other spaces to bring what they call a labor workforce shortage to fill those gaps. Understand that we have been here since before the inception of the United States and all the way through. To date, we have 106 HBCs. Now you compare that to the Latino colleges that they have. It's over 500. There are over 5 times more educational institutions for people who are just coming. we should be aware of these things, because if we want to address, we as in the United States wants to address a labor shortage, then we need to invest in the citizens who are here. The same way they are bringing illegal and legal immigrants here and investing in their education to uplift them above us. Again, something for us to pay attention to understand when you hear the word labor shortage, that is a dog whistle for them to, again, replace us from making us the educated, marketable people that we should be when it comes to our work environment here. The other thing I wanted to piggyback on was when we talked about how Michael spoke about how the United States is giving money away to the Ukraine. We know that Biden just apologized to Africa as a whole for their participation, for America's participation in enslaving at that time what they call Africans, which are now us, the descendants. Understand that America pledged $55 billion to Africa, and everyone is saying, well, America pledged that because they want to catch up with what China has done. China has basically seized most of the control of Africa's resources, and then India is following it up. I believe that America has a much higher plan than that. Biden, the Democrats want to secure their positioning here. They understand that the Hispanics are still voting 50-50, right? Biden, the Democrats have an agenda also here, not just in Africa for their resources. They have now, by making this commitment, they have secured the vote for the 2024 election. They have now secured another class group, which are the Africans here, that will vote in behalf of the Democrats because they are now supporting Africa. American freedmen need to pay attention and not make this just a one target issue that, oh, they are doing this because of China. Understand that not only did they give them or commit to $55 billion in resources, but they also committed to over, I believe, the next 5 years of increasing their economy overall in Africa by $3.4 trillion. Now, if they can invest in a continent that has millions of people on it and increase their economy in 5 years by $3.4 trillion, imagine what that would look like if they reinvested in the American freedmen here, what our economy and what the American economy would look like for giving us back what was taken from us and then giving us what you have denied us access to, education, capitalizing capital for small businesses, etc., investing in the freedmen economy. Imagine what we would look like as one, a group, as two, American citizens. Instead, America chooses to continue to not deny and neglect us, but just overall neglect us, right? And give it to everyone else, ensuring that we remain at the bottom. Things that I wanted to point out to the audience and to us here as a panel that we should be paying attention to. Now, going back to your question about the reparations work here as far as the commissions. Here in the state of Maryland, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Harriet Tubman Recovery Act. It was introduced, I believe, in 2020. Delegate Fisher had committed to reintroducing it every year that she held her position. And so now that she's no longer holding that position, she ran for another position in this most recent midterm. So we now have to work on getting new sponsors and also just overall refining the bill. In DC, as I mentioned earlier, Muriel Bowser, who was the newly re-elected mayor there, she has now put forth the initiation of a racial and equity commission. That commission, along with, I believe it's representative of Ward 7, they are working towards establishing some type of reparations commission. It has not been fully worked out, and there's no real formal, it's maybe like two paragraphs at best. We have reached out to them and we've spoken with the Ward 7 councilman, and it has no real meat and bones right now. But we do have Office of African American Affairs here in DC. And we have scheduled a meeting with them, and we will be, of course, imposing our position when it comes to the Reparations Commission. Or here we don't stand on the word reparations because we believe that reparations can only be given at a federal level. So we put state atonement here. One of the things that CAP did earlier in 2022 is we established the ECCA, the East Coast Coalition of Atonement, where all the East Coast came together of grassroots organizations to agree on what atonement looked like at a state level. So we have legislation also in Virginia that has been proposed, I believe, in 2021. It's not reparations as what we call reparations. It's more a local initiative relative to something about the school board. It wasn't something that we really dove in very deep. And then we have another reparations commission that was started by a local mayor here in a city called that's in Greenbelt, Maryland. And again, what we're finding is everyone is using American freedmen's history, our traumas, and our disparities to benefit everyone else, which is, again, a problematic issue for us. So the Reparations Commission that was instituted in this city called Greenbelt, they attached it to African Americans and Native Americans, right? Why? Makes no sense, but this is what people do so that they can use our traumas, our disparities, and our contributions to this country as a means of everyone else, benefiting from it. We have to stop the exploitation of our history to benefit everyone else, where we never get the benefit. And so one of the things that we are doing here is making sure that we are very clear and specific based on AB 31 and the definition of what the eligible class group is. We recognize that there are some challenges that could be put forth based on that. And so we are making sure that the language is written in such a way that it is a two-part standard where it resembles and reflects the first part of what AB 3121 says, but that we also use what Dr. William Darity put about people having to disclose or, basically disclose who they were on their census and so forth. I would even push to go a step further and say that they would have to acknowledge that that is who they are, and they have been acknowledging that throughout their life. And me personally, I feel like you don't have a right to trade off your lineage at your benefit, right? If you are freedman, then you are born freedman and you die freedman. You don't get to trade because I'm a Nigerian. When I'm born Nigerian, but when I got to America, I shedded my Nigerianness so I could become American. And so now I want to benefit off of that. But when I go back to Nigeria, I'm going to become a Nigerian again. No, those things have to be stopped when it comes to us, because that opens the doors for other people to gain access again to exploiting the true person or eligible group of people who should be really repaired. We're not here. We are making a very distinct, clear distinction that reparations or atonement is for the American freedmen. We're not talking about racial discrimination and what other people have experienced. We're talking about specific things that have happened to this particular group. And so we're very, very careful in how we are allowing the language to be put in our atonement bills throughout the East Coast.
All right, I want to quickly bring this one up in Maryland. It looks like there was something called the HB 1201. It looks like it didn't pass or something like that. I don't know. Are you familiar with that bill? It looks like it was
HB 1201 it now has a new number, but that is the Harriet Tubman Recovery Bill from Delegate Juanita Fisher.
Gotcha. Okay. So it looks like it went through most of the legislation, and then what happened? Did it just get vetoed, or did it not go through Senate, or what happened with that bill
It
exactly?
just failed. It didn't.
Okay.
It didn't move past the interim.
Gotcha. Okay. And so it sounds to me that advocates like yourself and others are going to once again try to get that bill reestablished.
Correct.
Wonderful.
Correct.
All right. And Michael, just real quick, brother, what's going down? I know we're going to actually have you back on the platform because we're going to do a deep dive into HR 40, and we know, Sheila Jackson Lee is down there. But outside of HR 40, which we'll probably get to, in 2023, what's going on down in Texas, brother?
In terms of reparations legislation, the closest thing that happened was we had a representative down here did a resolution basically in support of HR 40. A lot of the Black Democrat coalition down here is essentially tied to Sheila Jackson Lee. So she's kind of the puppet master, for lack of a better word. And so there has not been any attempts outside of the attempts that we have been making that I'm aware of. And again, we presented legislation all the way up to the governor's office. And you just heard me earlier say I'm not a fan of Greg Abbott, but if he wants to know how he can help improve his voting and in terms of Black freemen community, we're gonna try to get meetings with anyone in terms of pushing our legislation. And so 2023 for us will probably be a hard push on delineation and Office of Freeman Affairs. And if we're able to get those two hurdles passed, then I think we feel pretty confident about going forward on reparations legislation, knowing that we have those two elements in place, from the standpoint that we won't have, hopefully, some of the issues we're having in some of these other municipalities that are trying to do reparations from a legacy organization standpoint, where it's more race-based and not lineage-based. And so that's the push really for us down here in Texas. We really need to get our people focused on what's most important and not being so loyal to one party or politician and not getting their needs addressed. And that's proven to be a little tough, but we're up for the challenge. I think slowly but surely our people are starting to wake up to the fact that for a lot of us, our lives aren't moving in the direction that it should be moving, and there's a very coordinated reason for that. And so again, that's going to be the push for us in 2023: delineation and Office of Freeman Affairs. We got to have it. We got to have it now, and it's going to be, as you can see, a statewide push for us.
Yeah, well, we're definitely. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to say both of you guys are doing amazing work, but real quick, Michael, now you said the Sheila Jackson Lee, her opponent, was she Republican?
Yes.
Okay. And you said she agreed, or she put support for the Office of Freedmen Affairs on her platform?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ask Sheila Jackson Lee to do the same thing? And what was her response?
Of course, we engaged her office, and of course, we did not get a response. We haven't been able to get a meeting. She seems to be taking the same tactic of a certain legacy organization in terms of, well, you sound like you are a part of the hashtag group for some years ago, and because they were disrespectful in some tweets, I'm not going to communicate with your office. And so we have taken the tactic that we're going to engage your opponent every single time. We also engaged independent that was running against her as well in regards to reparations. So we're not afraid of, going any other routes. If you don't want to speak to us, that's okay. We'll speak to you in other ways.
Yeah, but unbelievable. I mean, she works for you and won't even speak with her constituents. That's just. And then, Hassan, for you, my question is: you say Stacia that you were working with a Republican at GOP. Did she give you any insight or to how the Republican base was feeling about reparations and what you're talking about as far as freedmen delineation? Did she give you any idea how, has she engaged with her other colleagues?
So, yes, what Stacia did was set up a meeting between myself and her GOP colleagues. We were able to have a very, very robust, initially very contentious conversation. But after a few hours, we hugged it all out. We found common ground, and we have been able to now begin the work through the Republican Party on addressing reparative justice and the needs of um, the freedmen in this area. So yes, Stacia has been absolutely phenomenal in keeping us connected to the powers to be in the GOP. And when I say the powers to be, I mean not just in DC, but here in Maryland, she has connected us, and she has also connected us to the national level of the GOP. So our voice as freedmen is being heard at the Republican level and within that party. And I can say again, I am not championing them in no way, shape, or form. But what I will say is they have been much more receptive than the Democrats. And I think that's because the Democrats take for granted that we are a small minority that is pushing against them, right? So they know they still have their loyal base. It is for us. I cannot stress this enough.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of each and every American freedman advocate to get out here from behind these screens and keyboards and hit the ground and hold these educational pieces. Educate first on the Reconstruction era. Educate on who the American freedman is. Educate on how our ancestors at their lowest level of education understood the need to pivot from one party to the other that was in their best interest. They understood it wasn't going to be an immediate relief and change, but they knew the long haul win would be the best way to do this. We have, with all of our education, we have to get out here and teach our people. We have to hit them at the school, at the public school systems, at the PTAs, when they're going to the liquor stores, when they're coming out of the bars, when they're everywhere. We know who we are. We know how we roll. We need to be there rolling all the time, so that come 2024, our people make an informed decision based on policy versus a color or what we have historically done. If you've been historically a Christian and you are now enlightened about something and you decide to pivot, it is okay. Knowledge allows you to make an informed decision on what is in your best interest, not always in your immediate, but it's for your future. That we need to start educating our people, because I can tell you, I saw it and I've been seeing it happen. I mean, it's so, even when we spoke to drug addicts, they were knowledgeable enough about their disparities that they said, "You got my vote," because they understood the importance of, I'm an addict because I've been locked out of all human and civic rights in this country. And if I had access to that, like these illegal immigrants have and other people have, I would not be this person I am today. So if you're willing to advocate for me, I'm willing to do what's necessary for you to help me bring about that change. Our penal system needs to be changed. We had a rally 2 days ago here called the Returning Citizens Rally. This is a collective, again, of 30 plus organizations here that we work together with, right? Where we were on Pennsylvania Avenue dealing with the legislators, well, the DC community, the DC Council, on what's happening to our returning citizens as they leave the prison system, the penal system. Now, they are still treated as though they are criminals. They've paid their debt according to our laws, and yet they are still being treated as lawbreakers. But the actual lawbreakers who have violated our laws are being treated as citizens. And until we educate our people, we're going to continue to have this problem. It is no longer good enough for us to stay on screens. We have to require each and every one of us to come back out in the streets and not to be afraid to go out in these streets. Hold the education and training, become a 501c. C3 and C4. It is imperative because that's how we access the money. If you need help, reach out to other organizations, such like CAP, that already have these things in place so that we can share with you the paperwork so that you can become and position yourself to receive some of the money and the grants that are being offered. We have to help one another figure out funding, organizing, strategic planning, growing membership, and most important, how to do and be successful at running a boots on the ground operation for our people, for our win come 2024.
Absolutely.
Facts on facts on facts. Well, family, I just, son, we're actually going to have you back on the platform as well, because we want to actually probably do our OMB presentations. I know Cap had one, and probably ETM, and invite some other people on the platform so we could show the family actually what we did, because it was crazy with those OMB. Like, we thought it was actually going to be, presented to the public, but it was like hidden agenda stuff, which was like odd to me. I was like, we can't stream this public. They're like, no, it's going to be. So anyway, on our platform, hopefully we can, show the family the OMB presentations that we had as well. So once again, son, we know you got to get out of here. It's DMV time back there, so we really appreciate you. And same with Michael. We're gonna get together, man, and really chop it up on this HR 40 madness that's going on right now. It's crazy, and I know a lot of the people who support all of our platforms probably know about HR 40, but we still want to get into it.
Michael, before you go on HR 40, now you said Sheila Jackson Lee is kind of the puppet master of the Democrats out there. Have you been able to build relationships with the Republican that would possibly put forth a different bill that could run at the same time as HR 40? Is there maybe a Republican who would take the lead on sponsoring or authoring?
Yeah, my colleague Donald actually had he went to a Republican meeting down in Galveston with one of my members, and she's actually a elected official, and so it was basically kind of a Republican rally, a who's who down there. And they were able to actually present a edited version of HR 40 to one of the representatives, U.S. representatives down there. And so we are actually engaging his office now to make sure he follows up. They got to the chief of staff. And so we're trying to engage that office now so we can actually see, hey, this is the version of reparations that we want. We've got it edited by a very important academic in our community. I will say that. And so we are socializing, you know, all of our tools, you know, and resources and bills and whatnot. And we just want legislation passed. And we know, especially again in Texas, we're going to have some Republican support, if not a majority support down here. And so we're not shy to that. Um, we acknowledge that, we accept the challenge because our people need it down here. And so yeah, we're definitely engaging folks. We're following up with folks and seeing, you know, how this legislation is going to move. And um, we're going to keep trying. And if they don't move on it, then, you know, again, we need to start pushing our own candidates and supporting our own candidates that support our mission. And so all of these options are on the table at this point, and we're looking to execute all of them.
Yeah, definitely. Policy over party all
Yep.
day.
All day.
All right, fam. Well, I got to give you both.
I love that.
Gotta be on fire. Gotta do it, family. So once again, we appreciate you too for coming on. We're probably gonna try to get through some of these slides, these mini slides. Some of them a lot of pseudo stuff, but some of them might be legit, and family might be
Yeah,
like, "Oh
we just
yeah."
gotta watch for it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of lip service out there.
Yeah, a lot of lip service. There might be some good reparations, you know, policy out there, and a lot of it's probably not. But I don't know, until we go through it. You never know what kind of good nuggets there might be, you know, in some of these policies.
Just
So
an FYI,
yes, go ahead.
the Minneapolis Reparations Commission met today. They've been meeting over a year, but now they are doing the public meetings. They met today. I would encourage everyone to reach out to Trahern Cruz if you're not familiar with them, or you can reach out to CAP or another one of our sister stations, TRP, Reparation Perspective. He's going to be on there. I believe he's going to be coming on there weekly to do updates. It's another reparation commission that needs our assistance, needs our inputs, our input from leadership, people who have worked on other commissions, Mike, hint, hint, Kim, Moya. You know, we've been working together for a while, so we all know each other's work. And so, you know, all eyes, it's always helpful. I spoke with him earlier today. We have a meetup tomorrow where we'll be going over some other things, but just overlooking some of the work that he's doing. Of course, we all know it's tireless, it's hard. A lot of things can be missed. A lot of things can be refined. The more eyes, the more experienced, trained eyes, the better we can refine this and ensure that Minneapolis does a superior representation of what we are seeking for reparative justice. So I would encourage you all, everyone that's listening, and for all of us here to support them. Check it out, check out the hearings, and lend any assistance that you can, because we all need it. Just like with AB 3121, it took the nation to lift that up. Right? It took all of us to call in, regardless of where we were. And we need to give that same full support to every commission, whether we agree with all the terminology or not. It is our jobs to be there, advocate, change what we don't like, but we need to hold one another down in these commissions and make sure that we get the outcome we are seeking for our lineage group.
All hands on deck.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All hands on deck, family.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank
Always,
you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you again.
Good seeing
Moya
you.
and Kim, you all already know I'm here. Thank you all for inviting myself and Cap in to this superior space. I've been waiting to get here. So
Thanks for joining us, and thank you for all the work you're doing out there in Washington, and Michael, you out there in Texas. Thank you both.
Yeah, fam.
Thank
Keep up the great work. For sure.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All right, fam. Good night.
Good
Peace and
night.
reparations.
Peace and
And
reparations.
reparations.
All right, family. Well, that was a great bill with our fellow comrades out in Texas and also in the DMV area. The son and Michael doing some great work. I think, Kim, we're going to try to get through this.
Yeah, real quick. We're just going to touch on it to see what's going on throughout the U.S. as far as reparations is concerned.
Yeah, and fam, let us know in the chat to see if you guys, as we go through these slides, if you guys think this is reparations or not. You can put a 1 for yes, 2 or no. As we go through these slides, we appreciate your opinion. But before, Kim, how we do, I gotta get the cuts, man, because I can't just be like, I gotta drop some music in the building.
Okay, do your thing. While you're setting that up, I will just go through the 5 forms of reparations, so the audience is aware of what true and actual reparations is. So the 5 forms of reparations, according to UN international law, guarantees of non-repetition, restitution, compensation, satisfaction, and rehabilitation. And you can take a screenshot there if you want a closer look at those definitions. So I guess let's start it off with Evanston, Illinois, since they were the first, they claim, to cross the finish line in getting some reparations initiatives. What we see here is Evanston's so-called reparations. 16 recipients selected to receive $25,000 for housing. So yeah,
that's crazy, and it looks like 600 people applied for the housing program, according to city officials, but initially only 16 eligible Black residents got it, and that is just nuts.
Residents who lived in the city between 1919 and 1969, referred to as ancestors.
And then it says direct descendants of a Black resident from 1919 to 1969.
1969.
Yeah.
So you had to be there in 1969 and 600 people were able to apply for this? I wasn't even born in 1969. Y'all.
And also residents who submitted evidence they suffered housing discrimination due to the city's policies or practices after 1969. I probably should look into this further, but I don't see anything about freedmen. I don't see descendant of U.S. chattel slavery or American slavery in here.
It says a Black resident.
A Black, are we just supposed to assume that's any Black person? Or are we just supposed to assume that these people are descendants? I'm just trying to figure that one out. Not saying that, people between those times shouldn't get it if they claim to be Black, but if your ancestor, didn't go through it like, some of the freedmen ancestors did, it's just kind of throwing, once again, everybody into the pot.
Yeah, that's why, like the son said, it's important to be at these committee meetings and to have our voices be heard, even though I know, the team out here, including myself, was jumping on those Evanston town hall webinars when they were having them, but they still moved forward with calling this reparations anyways. And Friday Jones has put in a 2 as a not reparation. So I guess we will move on from that. Now, last year when I did my roundup, Boston was one of the cities that was talking about considering reparations for Black residents. So that's 2021. And it looks like in 2022, they've come through with something. The Boston City Council voted Wednesday to form a task force to study how it can provide reparations for and other forms of atonement to Black Bostonians for the city's role in slavery and its legacy of inequality. So that seems like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it does. I guess it's progress. I wanted to actually. I guess we're just winging it, doing whatever we're doing. I thought we kind of had a plan, but maybe not. Because I wanted to post this just to make sure that we're kind of staying on point here. But hey, whatever. It's your birthday. We'll do what we need to do. But yeah, we'll go down the list accordingly.
Yeah,
Boston.
we'll go down the list. So St. Louis in 2021 was also talking, ending the racial wealth gap through reparations, local policies, or federal payments. And that was in 2021. And in 2022, St. Louis Mayor Tishara Jones signs an executive order to appoint Reparations Commission. So also it sounds like they're getting a commission together. And we went over this on In the News, one of our In the News. I won't read it all today, but it's going to be a 9-member volunteer commission. One must include an attorney, one clergy member, one public health professional, a professor at a local college, as well as someone between 15 and 18 years old. So an executive order, a municipality putting forth an executive order that shows that it can be done. So I don't know what's taking Sacramento so long out here. All right, another one last year, Asheville, North Carolina was talking about doing something about reparations in 2021, and in 2022, it looks like they came through with something. On July 14, 2020, the Asheville City Council passed a resolution supporting community reparations for Black Asheville. The resolution calls for the city manager to establish process within the next year to develop short, medium, and long-term recommendations to specifically address the creation of generational wealth and to boost economic mobility and opportunity in the Black community. Definitions of reparations include the action of repairing something, the making of amends for wrong or injury done, the making of amends for wrong one has done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged.
We like the monies.
Yeah, we like the money. So it sounds like they've got a plan in Asheville, North Carolina, with the commission, and hopefully there'll be some action, which they say is part of reparations out there. Louisville is also talking about supporting a reparations study in 2021 and in 2022. I think this was yours. Want to tell us what's going on with Louisville in 2022?
I couldn't find any commission. Anybody in the chat, if you guys know what's kind of going on out there in Louisville, I couldn't find anything what's going on, but there was something in 2021 where it's like a white woman got some inheritance of some sort, and then she gave like 6 figures to this it looks like, what do they call it, Change Today. It's basically a Black woman-led organization out there. So I mean, I guess she felt like that was part of her repair, to give some of her inheritance to this organization. Obviously, in my humble opinion, there still needs to be some kind of municipal or state sanction committee and reparations commission involved out there. I mean, it's good that citizens like this young white woman, who at the time was 25, I believe, after her 25th birthday, decided to give inheritance to this organization, which is great. We all can definitely get that money, but I don't know if this is considered,
is it reparations or a donation?
Yeah, right. Is this donation or is this really reparations, right?
Like I said to you earlier, what if this woman, this woman who's giving the inheritance, what if she comes from a slaveholding family? Then does that make it reparations? If she's a descendant of a slaveholder.
I guess she's making some repair. I guess. I mean, repairing the victim or the ancestors of the victim, even though it wasn't direct. Because in this particular story, if I'm correct, her ancestor, who was an enslaver.
Oh, her ancestor was an enslaver.
Yeah. So, but he supposedly didn't keep the documents, supposedly on purpose, and so by doing so, she couldn't actually give money directly to any of the living descendants. So that's why she decided to give it, to this particular organization.
All right. Well, if anyone else is looking to donate to a good cause, we've got CJEC out here, cjecofficial.org. Donate away. And Friday says she didn't even put a 1 or a 2, she put a 3. All right. New Jersey. What were you saying?
And by the way, Friday in the building, we're actually going to talk about the LA City Council when we get to California, so stay tuned for that.
Shout out LA, doing big things.
Shout out NAASD LA in the building. All right, New Jersey.
New Jersey. So in 2021, they were talking about it. Let's see, the headline read, New Jersey needs to finally study reparations over slavery, faith leaders and advocates say. Today in New Jersey, it looks like there is a bill, AB 938. Looks like it was introduced on January the 11th, 2022. So at the top of the year, but introduced, referred to Assembly, State, and Local Government Committee is the status. So it doesn't look like that's moving, but maybe the new year, 2023. I don't know anybody from New Jersey. If you're following what's going on with that, let us know.
Yep.
And that bill is to establish a reparations task force. All right. Denver, reparations, who qualifies and who pays, was the headline in 2021. Here in 2022, we've got next round of Denver Black Reparations Council grants to open in spring 2023. So can you tell us what's going on here in Denver, Colorado?
All right, so doing a little research, couldn't find anything specific in terms of committees, commissions, task force, statewide or municipal, but it looks like there is a council that they're calling themselves, which is it looks like some kind of nonprofit organization, and they're calling themselves the Denver Black Reparations Council, DBRC, and they have been raising money to basically, if I understand, give back to the community, specifically Black businesses down there in Denver. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and I think I got a video somewhere around here that I can play for the family
to help us understand what's going on.
So I don't know if this is like true reparations that's happening right now, because it's actually not being funded by the government, but let's check out this video so we can see what is going on. I think I have, here it is. Okay, here we go.
Gentrification is changing the landscape of historically Black neighborhoods in Denver.
A new council within the city is working to help business owners in these neighborhoods reclaim their spaces.
Denver 7's Micah Smith introduces us to a woman who has achieved her dream of becoming a business owner.
Even as the cool air blows through the streets of Five Points, T. Lee's has a warm, welcoming cup waiting for every customer.
Teeley's is named after my grandmother, and I think the tea house, like my grandmother's home, was a place of like comfort.
Owner Risa Jones says she decided to open her place during a tough time in her life.
I was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia. I was off for 2 years, and it was my husband who looked at me and asked, well, what do you really want to do with your life? And indirectly, I said, a tea house. My husband in September passed away on September 20th. So I'd lost my business partner.
COVID also dealt a blow with long periodic closures and no money coming in. But Jones got the funds she needed to stay open.
The Denver Black Reparations Council, I was the first recipient of the DBRC grant.
Part of my mission is to help recover and repair the harm that was done from slavery and its aftermath.
Denver Black Reparations Council Treasurer Harold Field says the council receives funds from Reparations Circle Denver.
Mostly from white donors who are looking into their history and their situation and wanting to put money into reparations.
The money is then given to black business owners in need of help who have been impacted by slavery and other injustices.
Teeley's is located in the Five Points neighborhood, which has been gentrified and changing dramatically. And it's important to have black-owned businesses remain in the neighborhood so that the character of the neighborhood can be preserved.
Field says they hope this private reparations effort will eventually inspire the government to act.
We certainly want to repair an economic contract that was broken, but it's important to recognize that a human contract was broken.
In terms of my family and slavery, on my grandmother's side, we can trace our history back to Liberia.
Jones says slavery is dark history, but with the Reparations Fund, she's able to highlight the most beautiful parts of her personal story and share them with her community.
And it goes well with tea.
Reporting in Denver, Micah Smith, Denver 7.
And the fall 2022 cycle to receive a grant from the Denver Black Reparations Council is closed now, and awards will be announced later on this month and dispersed in December. And the next cycle opens up in the spring, and you can find out how to apply for a grant at denverblackreparationscouncil.org.
Well, I guess if you're out in Denver, go check out the Denver Black Reparations Council.
Yeah, get your grant on. Okay, and then here is Virginia. I know Asan had mentioned. She said it was really kind of a nothing burger, but it says new reparations legislation signed into law in Virginia. And from what we can make of this, HB 1980, Enslaved Ancestors College Access Scholarship and Memorial Program established. So it looks like they've established a scholarship program, and this is solely to do with school. Did you have a chance to take a closer look at that one, Maury? Do you understand how they're divvying up the scholarship funds?
No, not really. But yeah, it looks like they're William and Mary, I guess, the college out, the university out there. Looks like they're what does it say? Impacting scholarships and programs offered at William and Mary. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, once again, it's, you know, we don't exactly know what's going on out there in Virginia. It seems like things eventually will kind of like start happening, you know, in terms of like the commissions and other reparations efforts. But
yeah, if anybody's interested in looking further into it, that is HB 1980. All right. And Providence Reparations in 2021, the headline was Providence Mayor signs order to pursue truth reparations for Black Indigenous people. And fast forward to today, Rhode Island's capital city will spend $10 million in reparations, and it could benefit white residents. So let's see just some of the choice words here. The program does not include direct cash payments to descendants of enslaved people, a practice which has been discussed by reparations commissions across the United States. Instead, the city's plan is to fund an array of initiatives aimed at closing the racial wealth and equity gap. Initiatives include the creation of a workforce training and job placement program to help 100 residents of color, a program to accelerate investments in minority-owned businesses, funds to help the creation of Black-owned media outlets, and African heritage cultural organizations, as well as home ownership funds, said Keith Stokes, the city's director of business development.
I don't know about that
Sound
one.
like reparations? Well, that doesn't even sound. That's not even in the realm.
Yeah, I mean, what are they talking about? I mean, is this even going to descendants? I mean, is this the one that they said about indigenous people too?
The little excerpt that I read here, it says that it's going to minority-owned business, residents of color, but I do notice that they say funds to help the creation of Black-owned media outlets. So they did say Black-owned when they talk about media outlets, but that's the only place they mention Black.
Yeah, well, it looks like in this article it says the program does not include direct cash payments to descendants of enslaved people. So yeah, obviously they need to do a reparations bill out there, obviously, because
this ain't it. Okay. New York lawmakers push for slavery reparations for Black residents. Let's see what's going on in New York. Some New York lawmakers are renewing the push for state law that would lay the groundwork to pay reparations to Black residents whose ancestors were enslaved. Proponents gained steam after a task force in California last week recommended that the Golden State shell out $569 billion in reparations to slave descendants there, or $200 apiece. So that's $223,000, $200 apiece. Because of lingering housing discrimination practices, a previously proposed New York measure called for creating a commission to study the impact of slavery and providing reparations, but failed to pass in legislature. It is now being revised, backers said. We saw what happened in California. Shout out, Cali. We want to pass a bill that starts a conversation about reparations, said Assemblywoman Michelle Salagis, chairwoman of the New York Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Caucus. To the Post, Assemblywoman Taylor Darling said it would be a slap in the face if Governor Kathy Hochul and the legislature don't greenlight a reparations study commission. Darling also scoffed at the $223,000 figure that California's task force recommended for each Black descendant. There was too low.
Well, there goes New York.
Yeah, so anyone that's following the New York push for reparations and why the measure failed to get passed is because the language wasn't right. I mean, it was an all lives matter bill. I mean, similar just to HR 40 and, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, in COBRA was even like written into the bill. They were like written in. So the language is all wrong, but they starting over. from the drawing board, and hopefully they'll be able to get it right this time around. All right, let's see. Mother Randall turns 100. Okay. I didn't have a chance to do an update on Tulsa, Oklahoma. I do know that a judge said it was okay for them to go ahead and the survivors to sue for their reparations. If anyone else knows anything about Tulsa reparations and where that's at, let us know. All right. Launching Reparations Commission in Detroit. This was a 2021 article also. Haven't had a chance to update. So if anyone knows anything going on in Detroit, also let us know. I think this is an older article too. Mayor Lucas signs on to test a reparations program for Black Kansas citizens. So if anyone knows what's going on in Kansas, please let us know. And I think we're getting into your slides here, Moya. And this is Los Angeles.
All right. Well, let's start with the
committee.
Let's actually start with the state first, and then let's go down to the. Do we have the state one up? Okay. For those that don't know, California is currently the California Reparations Task Force, 9-member task force. I'm just going to go through this real quick and try to make this simple and sweet. California Assembly Bill 3121 establishes a task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Task Force or Reparations Task Force. Okay, so that language, I want to give a big shout out to the NAASD family, Marcus Champion, for championing that language through. And also, got to give a shout out to Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber in the building, and obviously CJEC and ARCC, Chris Lodgson, and also Tiffany Quarles, Friday Jones, Chad Brown, just everybody putting a lot of work and effort, to get that language updated so there can be some specificity in the bill. And I think that's very important. Let's continue. By statute, the task force consists of 9 members. 5 members are appointed by the governor. 2 members are appointed by the president pro tempore of the Senate, and 2 members by the Speaker of the Assembly. Task force members are drawn from diverse backgrounds to represent the interests of communities of color throughout the state, have experience working to implement racial justice reform, and to the extent possible, represent geographical diverse areas of the state. The task force may hold hearings, hear witness testimony, and request the production of evidence. To attend an upcoming meeting or view past meetings, please visit, this is according to the DOJ's website, AB 3121 Reparations Task Force Meetings page. You can also check us right here on Emenda Mass Media Group. We have been following even before it was a bill, AB 3121. You could see all the hearings and meetings, and in addition, we actually go out and talk to the people and be boots on the ground. And we got a lot of interviews on there as well. And yeah, I think the last one, if you haven't checked it out, was in Oakland, and that was fun. I know there's been a lot of I guess I don't want to say controversial perspectives on some of the comments. They don't want to get into that, but shout out to the family, shout out to the ARCC family and all the Oakland family that came out. And I guess there were some people that actually came out from Texas. Who else was out there, Kim? I think somebody came out from the East Coast.
Someone from Philly was out there.
Yeah, shout out to the East Coast.
Texas, yeah. Texas said, we watching you. We watching y'all.
For sure. All right, so let's go to the other, the California commissions going on here, or not commissions, I think. Do we have the other ones?
Oh, let's see. California.
Yeah, so start with LA. All right. So we have actually, let's see if I can read this. Michael, hey, I gotta blow this up because let's see, I can't really read this too well. All right. So in June of 2021, the city of Los Angeles established the Reparations Advisory Commission, a blue ribbon task force comprised of leading voices in activism, academia, law, and racial justice, which will advise the city on a future reparations pilot program for a group of Black residents. Since that time, the Reparations Advisory Commission has been working to confirm its membership, identify partnerships in academia, and receive input from the community. The Reparations Advisory Commission will be tasked with providing recommendations for the format, function, and goals of a potential reparations pilot program in Los Angeles, including strategies and opportunities to seek public and or private dollars to fund pilot programs. The commission will identify an appropriate academic partner before beginning the formal process of developing and advocating for implementation of a pilot reparations program targeted at a cohort of Black residents. The Blue Ribbon Commission's members have been selected jointly by Mayor Garcetti and African American members of the City Council and are supported by the Civil, Human Rights, and Equity Department's official of racial equity. All right. We actually have one of the representatives in the chat, Ms. Friday, Constance T. Jones Muhammad. I don't know, Friday, if you can actually put if you're available to do it, if you could put the link to the commission board in the chat so everybody can check it out. But
yeah, and follow along. I know they've been having sessions, virtual sessions that are open to the public, looking for public input on what reparations could look like. So definitely check out the LA Reparations Advisory Commission.
For sure. And it looks like the chair is Ambassador Michael A. Lawson, and Constantine Jones Muhammad is vice chair. And Mark Wilson, Secretary, Mandia Kaisis commissioner, Dr. Katrina Vanderwood is commissioner, Professor Shell Harris is commissioner, and Virgil Roberts is commissioner. So there you go in LA, jumping off. All right, so I guess let's go to
other local commissions. We've got Oakland.
All right, so let's see. In Oakland, they actually, I mean, if anybody knows if there is a commission going on or hearsay heard of, I'm not familiar of any commission going on for reparations specifically, but I don't know if this is reparations or not. Let us know, family, if you think this guaranteed income program is actually reparations. Who knows? But it looks like in, where was this? There is a program called the Oakland Resilient Families Program. As of this article is written April 2nd, 2021. It says the program was announced last week as the latest experiment in a nationwide movement to aid low-income families by providing direct cash payments with no strings attached. We will enroll 600 BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color families in Oakland living with low income, said Jesus Jurina, CEO of the Family Independence Initiative, one of the nonprofit organizations running the program, at a press conference announcing the initiative. And they will receive $500 a month for 18 months. Actually, let me go back up. It said, after initially asking exclusively for applicants of color, quote unquote, organizations of a pilot program to provide a guaranteed income to hundreds of low-income Oaklanders now say all residents who meet, now it says all residents who meet the program's criteria are welcome to apply regardless of race. So it looks like they were focusing, concentrating on one segment of the community, and they decided to switch. So I don't know if we got any Bay Area family in the house that would like to, kind of give us some more enlightenment on this quote unquote program. But yeah, it's interesting because this news article says it's a guaranteed income program, but think of it as a test case for reparations. So it's just interesting, how people are starting to interchange, reparations with some of these like other programs, which give or take may or may not be considered reparations as far as we know it. So that's what's going on in Oakland.
Do we have a slide for San Francisco? Because I know that they actually do have a commission or an advisory committee.
I think, let's see, do we have it? Yes, we do.
Oh.
All right, yeah, that was at the bottom. Okay, so here's the Reparations Committee, the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco. Let's see here. It's called the African American Reparations Advisory Committee, and the individuals on this board currently looks like it's comprised of 15 appointed members who work across several subcommittees. The plan will highlight ways that city policies have harmed Black lives. It also includes specific actions to address discrimination and inequities in areas like housing, education, transit access, and food security. So it looks like the chair is Eric McDonald. Vice chair is Tanish Hollins. And go down some of the members here. Gloria Berry. A task force, current California Reparations Task Force member and vice chair on the statewide commission board. Reverend Dr. Amos Brown looks like he's also on the San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee. Shout out to Reverend Dr. Amos Brown.
Putting in work.
Oh man, that brother's putting in work. He's always putting in a lot of work. Gwendolyn Brown, Tiffany Carter, Nicole Cunningham, Ineti Ekanim, sorry, might have messed that up. Letitia Irving, Amarade, Rico Hamilton, Daniel Laundrie, Shaquilla O'Kane, James Taylor, and Star Williams. So it looks like there's actually some committees going on down in San Francisco.
All right. And then when Hassan was here from the DMV, we kind of touched on Maryland. And she said that the bill number has changed and they're still trying to make it move out there.
Yep.
Oregon.
Oh gosh. Oregon. All right. So Oregon, we try to reach, Eminimass Media Group actually try to reach out to Senator Frederick, who is the chief sponsor on this bill that looks like, I don't know if anybody else might have any other information on what's going on out in Oregon. I know there's some like hearsay going on, like gotta check out Oregon or whatever, but we looked at it and it looks like it's kind of, not doing too much right now. I guess let's just talk about it real quick. It says the catch line or summary is it directs Department of Revenue to establish program to pay reparations. Can't see that, but it looks like something to the enslaved, heritage, and slavery, and who submit application no later than December 31st of 2022.
That's now.
That is now. It's 12/21 and
10 days left, but
yeah.
So I guess this has not gone through because we were not able to find an application online. Again, we reached out to the author here of the bill, didn't get any type of response. It doesn't have any numbers here, but they were talking about like $123,000 a year. it seemed like for life in the actual bill language, which I don't understand right here because it says fiscal impact may have fiscal impact, but no statement yet issued. Revenue impact may have revenue impact, but no statement issued. Well, it's going to have it. I mean, if they were going to do what they said they were going to do, it would definitely have an impact in both of those categories.
Yeah, so looks like this bill right now is at a standstill. We'll definitely keep our eyes on this one for our Oregon family up there. But we'll see what happens. What's going on up in Oregon? Just like some of these other bills, hopefully they'll get passed.
Fingers crossed.
Vermont. All right, this H387 is an act relating to establishing the task force to study and develop reparations proposals for the institution of chattel slavery. All right, says this last recorded was in the House of, March 9th, 2021. And it looks like it's still there. So yeah, if anybody else has any other information what's going on out in Vermont, it might be underneath another bill now, outside of H387. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if you're in Vermont, check it out. Don't lose sight of it. Keep the pressure on.
Okay, so Iowa City is a little different. Before I actually go into it, I'm gonna play this video, and then we'll get back to. I think, do I have one for? I thought I. Actually, no, I don't. I thought I had one for Iowa. Because Iowa's a little interesting, because this really isn't really a reparations commission, but I don't know. I mean, after reading this and explaining it, I mean, maybe y'all might think this is reparations, but anyway, I guess I don't have the video queued up. So anyway, we'll go off the slide. All right, here we go. So Iowa City to reboot Racial Truth Commission after infighting. So it looks like there was some switching of the guards that happened during 2021, but it looks like they resolved all that and actually created this commission. Now they're calling this the Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 board members, and currently, and here's some of the duties. A, fact finding. The TRC shall collect evidence, including firsthand testimony of discrimination and racial injustice in multiple settings, and compile a complete record of racial injustices that will inform and support the fundamental institutional and policy reforms necessary to address systemic racism. Truth telling. Provide multiple provide multiple fora and creative opportunities for persons impacted and traumatized by racial injustice to share their stories of racial injustice and experience to be heard by fellow communities of color, a broad cross-section of the entire Iowa City community, and key decision makers in city government, the business community, and the university. Explore ways to provide such opportunities through art, music, theater, workshops, rallies, and other forms of congression, multimedia, and listening design to reveal truths that cannot be fully expressed in traditional fora. And 3, create a repository for community stories expressed in multimedia, written, video, audio, art that can be cataloged and used to educate and inform members of the community. Reconciliation, provide opportunity for and facilitate direct conversation among and between community members of color, white community members, and representatives of various sectors in which people of color experience discrimination and injustice, i.e. police and protesters, landlords and tenants, students and teachers, patients and healthcare providers, business owners and staff. So anyway, family, if you want some more information on this ad hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission, do your search. You can go to iowa/city.org and look up the resolution. It's like resolution number 20-159, and check that out there. Also, you can do your search. Just type in like Iowa City Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So that was with Iowa. And let's see, what else do we have in the building?
We just have a couple more slides here.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So here are some notable atrocities. I believe the Tulsa massacre. I think that's still on the standstill for reparations, obviously, for those living ancestors and survivors, and hopefully their descendants will get some repair there. Rosewood, the Ocoee massacre down in Florida. Rosewood also in Florida. The Lane Race massacre in Arkansas, and the Tuskegee experiment. Those are some notable atrocities that have happened to, freedmen, people in history. So many more that can be named, and that they're actually finding out here in California, as we and also the task force, and other advocates who are looking into the harms that have happened to freedmen people here in California. Heard something like Santa Monica has something going on out there. Something else came up, I think, in the task force meeting. Was it, where was it? I think it was in Pasadena. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. We have to go back to look. Senator Bradford mentioned another city that I guess some black people got like burned out of their place of abode. So yeah, a lot of things are coming up, coming out of the woodwork, so what else we got here? All right, so on Ken's birthday today, 12/21, we like to put this out to the universe. You heard it right here on Even the Mass Media Group, that we would like to propose to the people, to the family, to the citizens of America to have American Freedmen Day, March 3rd. All right. This day will establish a national holiday. It will recognize those enslaved Americans, Blacks, African Americans that built the United States for free. It will recognize the establishment of the Freedmen's Bureau. Other names could include Free People's Day or Freedmen and Free Women Day. So you heard that right here, that we will be pushing this, and hopefully others will be considering that March 3rd will be the day called American Freedmen Day or something like that.
Yes, to commemorate that important time in history, and what we're doing now to reestablish the freedmen.
Facts. So just want to briefly go over this last slide, family, before we get out. Before we go, we really appreciate everybody who participated, who came through. Hopefully, we brought you some vital information to see what else is going on, out in the reparations world out there. If you have any other information that you'd like to send us, hit us up at etnmediagroup@gmail.com. That's etnmediagroup@gmail.com to let us know what's going on. Hey, in your state, you know, we can only cover so much. We're really busy here in California, obviously, with AB 3121, trying to push that through and basically make sure that, you know, we're keeping abreast of what's going on out here in California with the reparations movement. But yeah, Kim, as far as like I'm aware, like, I mean, I don't know how about anybody else feels, but I mean, in terms of like true full package so far, repair, it seems like California is kind of leading the way with this. Could be wrong, you know.
I mean, that's from what I've seen. I mean, but some of the commissions sound promising. You know, they have the language right as far as who the recipient would be as far as slavery descendant. So we'll have to just see how they develop. Some of them seem like they're heading in the right direction, and people are definitely paying attention to what's happening out here in California.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I was actually gonna go through like all the states, but yeah, as y'all can see, we got all the 50 states up there and looking slim pickings. But you know, stuff is moving slow.
Slowly but surely. But we all know that, you know, the road to healing is through reparations. If this nation wants to heal itself, this has to happen. So,
I mean, absolutely, fam. Yeah, please share this out. You know, we appreciate y'all. Shout out to PM. Thank you for coming. Obviously, shout out to Friday in the building, who, by the way, is in the Reparations Now documentary. We're pretty much done with the edit, and Friday's fire. Friday's definitely bringing that fire, and everybody else is.
And we want to take the show on the road with our Reparations Now documentary. So if you'd like to see us in a town near you, holler at us, let us know. But we are definitely raising funds for that. So swing by the GoFundMe if you can and donate to the cause so we can continue to get this important information out to the people.
Definitely. And on that note, I could say.
And before we get out of here, I'm going to close it with this video that, you know, started this whole tradition back in 2020. And, you know, when manifesting reparations into the universe. So when we're ready to go, let's go out with that.
All right, there you go.
All right. So peace, love, and reparations, everyone.
So you want to play your resolution?
No, we already played that. I'm playing my my 2020 manifestation of reparations.
Gotcha. All right, cool.
All right.
Go on that one.
Okay, here we go. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Oops. You know, again, voodoo has to be evil. You know, I did move it to a more discreet area, but, you know, my voodoo doll stays with me. And that's one that I have. And then here's another voodoo doll that I have. This one says luck. I got all these traveling back and forth to Louisiana. So my luck voodoo doll here is leaning up against my money tree. We've got my 2020 money tree to manifest prosperity into the future. All right, so this part of the ritual or spell is called the spit kiss. Supremacy suppressed. And here's the honey Jaeger. Reparations rising. Okay, that's going to do it
for our ceremony. Oh, one more thing here. The rocks. Now, I'm not using names or images, people in the ceremony, because again, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not casting a curse on anybody. I'm just casting a spell to bind white supremacy, which is still very real in 2020.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.